everybody must feel that he is an important person. He is a person of worth, a person to be counted. And that kind of a world is possible if we have this subsidiarity principle through this neighborhood parliaments.
Yeah.
And then we say the fourth principle, we say since the neighbor parliaments, since the parliaments at every level are face-to-face small communities, every level. So at any time, when any level feels that the person they elected from one level to the next is not exactly performing according to their expectations, then they can come together and they decide to call back that fellow. So each level can call back the representative they elected from their level to the next. That means ultimately the entire global system remains answerable to the man at the base, and he controls, and if he controls, his problems will be addressed. Especially his basic needs like food, the water, and then what, and then education,
shelter,
all these things, and then his sense of what,
sense of agency and being able to
a sense of being fairly treated. All these things, will be taken into account. So that became the fourth principle we gave. Then we went on to the fifth principle. The fifth principle is subsidiarity. This is, I confused. The fifth principle is convergence. That has to do more with the dynamics of building a power structure from below. That means we ask normally, how long will it take for a structure like this to be organized? For example, to organize neighbor parliaments throughout the world, neighborhood parliament, first level. How long will it take? Then people give various answers. We say, in principle, only one day. Because the whole world is only neighborhood. And for organizing the neighborhood, you don't need to take a bus and go. All you have to clap hands, come together like that. And then the world is so connected today as regards communications. You can take your cell phone, the other end of the world says, you say hello, the other end of the world says hello in reply. And then if somebody, important message is there, immediately it is known. So, if we have in India, for example, pulse polio drops, and that, on a particular day, on 2 particular days, every year, the mothers bring their children for this pulse polio drops. You could organize the entire nation to come to this pulse polio drop booths at a particular hour. So organizable. So what I say, maybe if Edwin thinks it may not happen in one single day, but if right people with the right access decide on it, it is no problem reaching the whole world with the message and say, come on, you get together, organize your neighbors. But what I say, what is even more difficult, what could be a more sustained process, is one of getting these communities feel that they are one cohesive collective unit. To feel that we as a group are one. That can a group identity, a sense of collective identity, a sense of collective ego. That has to come.
And how is that accomplished?
How is that to come? If that comes, no other power will be able to bypass that. You see, we started this in our villages there in Kanyakumari district. Those villages used to have chieftains, they used to be fighting for supremacy. And this fight leads also to quarrels, violence, bloodsheds and court cases and so on. And then we started this neighborhood structures there. And in no time, what happened in the last 20 years, what I see, those chieftain structures are gone
What are they replaced by?
with the representatives from the neighborhoods.
Okay.
Since these were getting some kind of an identity, they said, why not you consulted, why not one from each of these groups to be the collective body that decides for the village? Finished. So a silent structural change, because the collective identity was being reinforced. Now, how to get these people developed? That is the first question. The best thing is to get them to do things together. Give them things to do together. And so when you give things to do, come on, you prepare for a function or prepare for a worship assembly or whatever, then it gives them a chance. Oh, we have this week we have to prepare, and so we have to do this. So they say, who are all the ones involved? Who are all the ones whose cooperation we could get? Who is outside? Who is inside? Who is a non-member? Who is a member? This becomes clear.
Yeah.
That identity gets reinforced. So we say, if you are, once you organize neighborhood parliaments and once you federate them, whatever you do it through these structures.
Okay.
So if it is small savings, do it there. If it is lending, do it there. Any other banking business, do it there.
Okay.
Any income generation, do it there. Any environmental project, do it there. Any old age care, do it through that. Any child care project, do it through that. Any health education scheme, do it through that. Any monetary scheme, do it through that. When you keep doing like that, they become more and more a cohesive unit. And once they are sufficiently reinforced as regards collective identity, every other structure has to adjust to that. So first thing is to keep reinforcing this structure.
Identity. Yeah.
These were the 5 principles we gave. And so then we used to give these principles in seminars and so on, and ask them, suppose a world comes about like this, what kind of a world will that be, we ask. And they say, we send them for group discussions, and they come back with a big list of answers. Name any ideal you want, they say it will be realized. Name any so evil that you want to get eradicated, they say it can be done. It will be there, then it will be the list. Then I asked them, then what kind of a world would be? Third question. They say it will be a paradise on earth. Then I said, then why don't you go for that?
Yeah. Let's build it.
Okay. So the present day democracy, what we find, they try to tell people that everybody is equal, everybody has equal vote, but they make the basic participatory constituencies very big. So very big means they cannot meet together, they cannot discuss together, they cannot evolve any consensus, and then they become nobody's people, so to say, with no voice, because no forum to talk.
Yeah.
When there are no forums, they cannot talk. When they cannot talk, they cannot have their say. When they cannot have their say, they are powerless in anything. And one of the root problems affecting the world today, we used to ask that in the groups. We asked them, what are the two root problems affecting the world today? They will come back and say, two root problems. One, they say selfishness. The other problem, helplessness. Because those who are powerful are selfish, I'm generalizing, okay, and then those who are selfless are powerless. Then situations don't change. So here, how do you ensure that people remain powerful?
And what does that power mean?
Power
You are
for us,
redefining power.
we give, we have our own way of defining power.
Yeah.
We say power is to have an effective say.
To have an effective say.
You say something and it matters. That means you have power.
So you are heard.
You are heard.
You are heard.
You are taken serious. I mean, you have an ability to influence the course of events, situations. That means power.
Okay.
And then we say, if it have an effective say, The minimum thing you need to have a say is to have a forum. At least one person should listen to you. Then you have a forum. And then if you want people to participate, give them forums. When they come up for a given forum, they come together, they talk, they discuss, and they evolve consensus, they become articulate, and they know what to demand and what not to demand. And when they are federated, it becomes, big, wider level power. And that way it goes on. And ultimately, who is really interested in people, if not people themselves? And if people are given power, they solve the problem.
How does a system like that address differences or conflict? If conflicts arise at the level of neighborhood, or there are differences of opinion, how do those become?
Yeah, that's a good question. And before answering that, I will say something else. Okay. I just ask people in meetings, suppose somebody gives someone else a slap, what would happen? People say he would get back. Then I say, not sure. He will hit back if only he feels powerful enough to hit back. Otherwise, he will withhold. He will fume from within, get sick, and all that will happen, but no reaction. And then, if he is powerful, you don't need to go and really tell him, come on, your rights are now violated, your dignity is insulted, and now you have to react. You don't need to have a conscientization, awareness, and a sensitization program that much. And if someone is really powerless, no amount of conscientization program, are going to help. So ultimately it has to do with one of power. And that power has to be on a sustained basis and accessible to everybody and to people at large. And then people solve the problems. That's the basis. Now with regard to this question, we use various one thing when they come together, sit around. Gradually they develop a kind of a process or a kind of mentality whereby they are able to listen, talk, and so on. Okay. Now, 2 or 3 things we tried. Then with regard to issues at wider level, within one group and the other, the federal structures can take into that. So when 2 families have problems, the neighborhood structure can look into that. When 2 neighborhoods have problems, the federal structure can look into that. Like this, there's one structural provision is there. In addition to that, we are also trying to involve processes like non-violent communication. There has been a process. Then lately, another interesting thing we came across, which also we are now trying to integrate here, is sociocratic elections. Sociocracy.
Okay.
See, I was circulating this dream. Then somebody wrote, 2 people wrote back to me, have you heard about sociocracy? Then I went hunting for it. And it's a very interesting thing, more or less similar principles. What was striking for there, the principle is one, rule by consent. And consent, they differentiate between consensus and consent.
Okay.
And then consensus, they seem a bit difficult to get because people are different thinking. But you get it, consent, no objection. Though I may not be fully for it, but I can tolerate, not beyond my tolerance level. This kind of a system, ruled by consent. Then another principle, there are also principle of smaller circles. Then they call double linking. That is one from here is there, other one from there is here, like that, double linking. Then sociocratic elections seem to be the very interesting thing that we try to introduce there. And our neighborhood parliaments are gradually adapting to that. Here is a kind of an election where nobody stands as a candidate, no election campaign, no secrecy. and they come together and then they are told, okay, this is the task.